In this video, I want to go over an audit of the Federal Reserve Bank, Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System financial statements as of and for the years ended December 31, 2020 and 2019, and independent auditors' reports 2021-FMIC-B-005, March 10, 2021. I just wanted to go over a part of this, page 6. Where they talk about some of their expensive Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve statements of operations. Let's just go over 2021. Assessments levied on Federal Reserve banks for board operating expenses and capital expenditures, $947 million in 2020. Assessments levied on Federal Reserve banks for currency-related operating expenses and capital expenditures, $47,813,182. Other revenues. Now, where might they get revenue from? $17,219,860. Total operating revenues, $1,012,033,042. Salaries. Board operating expenses. Salaries, $515,187,686. Retirement, insurance, and benefits, $112,663,448. Other components of net periodic pension and post-retirement costs, $11,793,597. Contractual services and professional fees. So when they hire people to do work for them, maybe they hire people to clean their offices and cut the lawn and move furniture and other things, maybe accountants and attorneys. $70,860,330. Depreciation, amortization, and net gains or losses on disposals, $47,805,194. Travel expenses, $4,768,759. Non-capital furniture, equipment, postage, and supplies. How in the world would they need to spend this much money on postage and supplies, equipment, and furniture? $34,075,082. Data, news, and research, $15,153,331. Utilities, $9,727,683. Software, $21,370,826. Rentals of space and equipment, $37,367,520. Repairs and maintenance, $9,345,818. Other expenses, $17,775,517. For a total of $907,894,791, with a net income of $104,138,251. Currency costs, assessments levied or to be levied on Federal Reserve banks for currency costs, $783,385,287. Expenses for costs related to currency, the same amount, $783,000. $385,287,000. Currency assessments over or under expenses, it's 0 because they equal the same amount. The Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, assessments levied on the Federal Reserve Bank for the Bureau, $517,300,000, and transferred to the Bureau, $517,300,000. Bureau assessments over or under transfers, 0. Total net income, $104,138,251. Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, statements of operation continued, other comprehensive income or loss, pensions and other post-retirement benefit plans, amortization of prior service credit cost, $9,599, amortization of net actual gain or loss, $5,334,672, net actual gain or loss during the year, $69,160,837 loss. Total other comprehensive income or loss, a loss of $63,835,764. Comprehensive income or loss, an income of $40,302,487. Cumulative results of operations beginning of period, $235,516,867, and cumulative results of operations end of period, $275,819,355. So really my question is where did they get all this money to pay for all these expenses? And what happens when they suffer a loss? And why do they need millions and millions of dollars in software? Software was $21,370,826. I have a feeling it's from the Internal Revenue Service office located inside the Federal Reserve, working under the non-law title, Title 26, Internal Revenue Service, where everyone who's not in government pays a so-called tax to use the money printed by the Federal Reserve. That's not it. I have a picture here somewhere of the well, let's just look it up. It shows the Internal Revenue Service at the New York Federal Reserve Building. Here we go. Internal Revenue Service. So are you actually paying the government or are you paying the bank? When you do your taxes, the Federal Reserve has to go through the federal government. Since it's a quasi-public-private corporation, it has to go through the federal government to have its forms approved, and they're given a federal form number. The federal form numbers them to use to collect taxes through their Internal Revenue Service using Title 26, which has never passed into law. So are you paying the federal government, or are you paying a private corporation to which then can use its money with an excess left over of $104,138,251 to do things to you that you don't want to be done because they're using federal forms and you feel like it's your civic duty to pay your federal government through taxation when your federal government is not taxing you? The Federal Reserve Bank is. I've showed you this website a million times probably by now, in which I tell you that the federal people on the federal lands pay a federal tax, and that's in Title V under employees. And Title V is a positive law, meaning Title V is a law. Whereas Title 26 is not a law. It's not a law because it's under banks and banking, or within the banks and banking realm. And it is being done by the Federal Reserve Bank. And I know this because on the InfoReg website, where it shows the process of the federal forms being approved, the 1040 and the W-4 and the W-2 and all the other IRS forms that private people use are not in compliance with the ideas of federalism, which is shown in Executive Order 13132, which defines federalism. Title V we see is a positive law. It's a law. Title 26 is not a positive law. Neither is Title 12, banks and banking, nor is Title 15, commerce and trade. Many other titles in here are not made law. So you think that they're law, and they go through the federal government to have their forms processed, reviewed, approved, given a federal form number according to their proper use. And then their Internal Revenue Service within the Federal Reserve Bank is doing business with you by private contract using those federal forms, and you think it's a federal contract. You think that it's something you have to do. If you have to do it, why do you have to sign a form? Why do you have to fill out your information? You would think that they would already know who you are and how much you owe. But they don't, because you're not an employee of the federal government. You're an employee of the Federal Reserve Bank. And through one of its instrumentalities, to which are the various and many corporations doing business with the federal government, or the instrumentality in reality, that require you then to sign a federal form, because all of those businesses are registered to do business with the instrumentalities of the federal government, being the military-industrial complex. If you don't understand what I'm saying, please leave a comment and I will answer as best I can to help you understand. It's important that you understand the system that we're in, because it's important that you understand the foundation of freedom, sovereignty, liberty, and independence. Please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. And for this weekend, we have a job for you to do, and that's to talk to one person outside of your normal circle about liberty, freedom, and sovereignty. Just one person. And perhaps point them to my channel or some other channel that talks about freedom, sovereignty, liberty, and maybe we can build our numbers. That's the hope anyway. So like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.